Hello, I'm Liz Lumley of Finextra, and today I'm speaking to Brigid Whoriskey of RBS. Now, Brigid, you sat on the collaboration or competition panel here at Finextra Future Money, and this panel really looked at banks, whether banks have the ability to innovate and whether they should look at new startups in this space as competition, or they should look for partnerships or even acquiring some of these companies. And you made a point about the advantage that banks have maintaining the existing banking rails, the banking infrastructure, what some people call the plumbing. And this sometimes tends to be dismissed in many circles, but you pointed it out as being a bit of an advantage. So could you go into more detail on that about why?
So I think one of the big advantages that the large incumbents have is where they're coming from. So, for example, they operate at a scale that other people just can't emulate. So if you take Royal Bank of Scotland, we've got over 13 million customers. We process billions of payments transactions every year, hundreds of millions of ATM transactions, etc. So we really operate at a huge scale that brings us advantages. We have access to vast amounts of data. They're also very reliable, very high percentage systems availability, tiny percentage where it's not available that happens to get high exposure, but actually on the whole hugely reliable and hugely functionally rich, supporting a vast range of products, a huge range of different customer segments across ranges of channels, different geographies, different capabilities. And I think that this entire infrastructure that banking is run on is a huge advantage for big incumbent banks. So we need to pay that sufficient attention, continue to nurture it, continue to invest in it, while at the same time looking at how we can adapt things and how we can add things to respond to changing customer needs.
So Brigid, you work in the research department at RBS, and you guys have really been looking at a lot of these disruptive technologies and changes in customer behavior that are affecting bank environments and bank innovation. And you guys have recently released a report looking into these technologies. Can you give us some highlights from the report?
Yeah, sure. We've effectively identified 4 big clusters of trends that we see impacting banking and, in fact, changing the way customers behave and the way they interact. So the first one is digital society, the always-on, always-available society. And in the last year or two, we've seen things like mobile, social, and apps really become mainstream. But the growth is still continuing. So we're seeing the advent of wearable technologies. Video as a way of communication is growing hugely and starting to play a big role in communicating with customers, etc. So still growing, and we think digital will continue to be huge. In fact, we increasingly talk about digital banking is now a digital business, and that's the way you've got to think. We also look at big insights, and big insights is really about getting value out of data. So the volume of data continues to grow and grow exponentially. The data analytical tools that are available continue to grow, and loads of innovation going on in that space. The cost of storing and manipulating data is going down. And at the intersection of all of these things, some real magic is starting to happen to enable people to get real value out of data, better understand their customers, better respond to their customer needs. So that's big insights. The report also covers everything joins up. And everything joins up is about how things are connected together, as you might expect. It's about how we can better exploit cloud technologies and start using software as a service, infrastructure as a service, the drive towards automation, the drive towards increasing partnerships across the banking ecosystem, the big changes that are happening there. And finally, the fourth area is integrity and security. Banks, like every other organization, but probably particularly banks, need to protect their customers, need to protect their customers' information and their customers' money. So there's constant investment in areas to counteract cybersecurity, to keep the organization secure, and to help customers and clients understand how they can keep themselves and their devices secure. So they're the four big trends that we see, and one of the impacts of those four big trends is a huge shift in customer behaviour. And that's often brought by the experiences that customers bring from other industries that they have engaged in, and from some of the big technology giants like Apple and Google. And we really do see a new bar being set, a new normal in terms of customer expectations that banks need to respond to.